ayes have it.
Hello and welcome to the program. I am Dennis Adigunloye. Legislative business at the National Assembly is scheduled to resume on the 14th of June. And in the absence of any major developments regarding the Senate owing to heightened activities in the political space, let's look back at a recent interaction between the management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the Senate Committee on Petroleum Upstream.
In your presentation, you talked about prioritizing the various areas that have been, you have collected the seismic data for in terms of their readiness, or I think that was what you were saying. But you stopped short of telling us what the prioritized areas were. So my question is, can you give us more detail on that presentation in terms of the areas that are ready for to go to the next steps in terms of frontier exploration? Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, the group MD and members of this team. First, I want to appreciate your efforts at the security situation, in terms of addressing the security situation in the areas that you are operating. Okay? You've gone into a relationship with the key security agencies in Nigeria. But again, there is no assurance that this vandalization will not continue. It has been a problem for a very long time, and there is no certainty that these problems will come to an end in the near future. What is the nature of the insurance policy on these assets? Okay? Because my worry is that whatever profit you make may end up being used for either maintenance or restoration of assets that have been continuously vandalized. So what is the nature of the insurance cover on these assets?
A bill, National Commission that will even cope the challenges of vandalizations of pipelines. That bill has passed to the second stage, and I believe the National Assembly under Melawan is up to the task to deliver. Because if many of our graduates are taken off the streets and they are involved physically in this act of securing most of these assets, I think that particular point will be brought down to the barest minimum. Today, whatever policy put in place, so these graduates are roaming about the streets. And I believe the National Commission bill before the National Assembly to cope, to combat illegal importation of arms and reduce, pipeline vandalism to the barest minimum will be a major key instrument to fight and secure our pipelines in all the the creek. So we believe that Mr. President, being the Minister of Petroleum Resources, this will be a very principal, act to ensure that when that particular bill passed through the third reading in both chambers of the National Assembly, so that it's given a presidential assent, it will go a long way to stop this vandalization. And that is what some of the bills we are putting in place in National Assembly to ensure that many graduates are taken off the street to support the agenda of Mr. President. That's just an advice. Thank you.
Anyone can take. There are rocks all over the world, not just in our country. There are rocks everywhere in the world, and
There are many ways they go around this, but the safest thing to do is to scale up your security architecture, deeper community engagement, and of course intervention of elites like all of us. Let me just on it off that we need to speak out. You can see that there's hardly major stakeholders that speak about it, and I think we need to do more of this so that we disown it. And as so let me just talk it frontally also. Those who steal oil and take it to the international market are not the ordinary people we see in the village. They are not. They're all in the elites group, and it's all of us. It's up to us to contend this, speak against it, work against it. Otherwise, we are creating new set of rogues who will have enormous resources in their hands, and they will take down all of us, including the country. Then, how do you reward community data? Since Senator Bani has asked a question around how do you reward community members who are helping in containing the acts of vandals? Two ways of reward. First is to, first of all, for the National Assembly and all of us to push so that the host community fund comes up, because it really means that once you are fighting against vandal action in your community, it means those access are also in your community. And then once you put on the fund, and then you will have a vested interest to benefit from it, and then you will act accordingly. More than that, once there's a vandal action, there's a containment that you have to do. We never go outside the community to look for people to help us with the containment, and also by replacing some of the work that must be done, is usually done by community-based contractors. And of course, we're also working around part of the process. I thought this is not the right place to speak about it, but we're working to have community-based structure of the security intervention that we are doing. It has always been community contractor, but we're doing something different, a new approach that will now integrate the members of the community to be specifically involved in the process. We'll test this and see how that also why it takes us to. That's around what the detail of the prioritized next steps for FES operation. I think the media has spoken to it, but to be very specific, it's resource-driven and prospect-driven. As we see now, we are doing seismic around Kiana area in Nasarawa State, because there are some other primary data that has shown us that there's huge potential for us to mature that and drill a well to test that. Also, in the Chad Basin, we have matured the prospect to drilling because of the security issues that we have in the place. But hopefully, what we are doing here will enable us re-enter. All others are data maturation, in the sense that there are very many steps for doing exploration work up to drilling. Some of them are at the basic level, some of them are being mature. So there are a number of works we are doing across the country. Some of them studies, some of them interpretation of data. Until you drill, that you will not have tested it. So we see the line of sight around testing drilling from this year may just be limited to 1 or 2 locations in this fiscal year. And also, Senator the Great Labs, if they have insurance around these assets that are vandals, all insurance companies call this war risk. They put a premium that you are better off not taking it. Otherwise, they will treat it as act of God, and nobody has control over this, and no insurance company will cover such assets, unfortunately. Then, lastly, Senator Patrick's view around the bill on the Commission on Small Arms, Control of Arms and Vandals activities. I think it will clearly dovetail into the host committee provision in the Petroleum Industry Act, and those provisions, if they are clearly articulated and related to the petroleum industry, they may be useful, but I hope they also don't become a duplication of the host committee that we have in place. Thank you very much, Senator.
Thank you, James. So it's very colleagues. It's very clear that we must hold down the regulator, the Nigerian Austrian Petroleum Regulatory Commission, to come up with the regulations as regards the establishment of the host community trust fund. It's quite critical and very fundamental at this stage. While we were also at the Nigerian Austrian Regulatory Commission, we made to understand that the loss to the country on due to crude oil theft, and then it's about the equivalent of about 3 quintals a month, 6 cargoes a month. This is quite huge. That's the reason why, as a committee, we must hold the regulator accountable on this, because based on the law, without their regulations, there is nothing anybody can do about it in terms of establishing this host community. And the law is also clear that you must do this within 6 months of the law coming into force. The law had come into force. I think we're on the fifth month, if I'm not mistaken. So I think on that note. So just to recap, GMD, it's quite interesting that you just told us that your partners, you are beginning to have positive signals as regards investment into the upstream, which is also key. So we expect to see quite some drastic inflows in the next couple of months, which was quite one of the objectives of the PIA. Exxon, very key. And you also talked about most of your partners divesting from onshore and shallow water, and then go into deep offshore. And of course, you said you will get very competent investors to also look at that due to community issues and environmental issues as well. You also threw light on upstream being the core of your business, and then an improvement in you begin to see some improvements in the collaboration in the security architecture collaborations in the upstream. That you said the losses have been said. I think we had stated that GMD, please get your team to get us to Frontier. By next week they should work with our clerk and let us know on time, so that we can consider your budget and sign up for you. And also we need to look at what is happening in NPDC as well, and then IDSL in Benin. So I think your team should work with our secretariat to make this possible, so that we can have an overview, because I think this is the first time that we are beginning to come out, because we were constrained and burdened down by the processing of the PIA in the last almost 2 years, and we thank God we're able to pull that through. So on behalf of my colleagues, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for this reception you've accorded us, and we want to congratulate you again on your appointment. And we know that I pray and we pray that you leave this NNPC far better than you met it. And congratulations, and receive the highest commendations for turning NNPC into a profit-making business. And we believe that you intend to turn out more profit, so that you can pay dividends to your shareholders, which is the Nigerian people. And also, we are currently also reviewing the amendment as requested by Mr. President. And we also believe that this process, we are not going to restrict ourselves to the President's request on the amendment. Whatever needs to come into the law in terms of enhancing it to make us more competitive, to attract the desired investable funds into the Nigerian oil and gas industry, we will not hesitate to do so. So we thank you for receiving us, and we wish you one of the most successful tenure as an NNPC health plan.
And to give us an assessment of progress so far in terms of road improvements in the country, here is the Chairman, Senate Committee on Works, Senator Aliero.
The Abuja, Kaduna, Zaria, Kano Expressway is one of the major legacy projects of the President Buhari administration. If you could recall, 2 years ago, this contract was awarded to Julius Berger at the cost of 155 billion naira. By then, it was supposed to be partial rehabilitation. When the contractor moved to the site, there were a number of complaints. Initially, some of the governors, senators, and politicians from both the northeast and the northwest wanted the expansion of the road from the 4 lanes to 6 lanes. And I think a contract was even awarded for the design of the project to 6 lanes. Later on, I think because of the escalation of cost, it was decided that let's concentrate on the reconstruction, total reconstruction of the 4 lanes we have. This made it possible for the contract to be awarded, or to be augmented rather, from 155 billion to almost 780 something billion naira. This is going to be a complete, reconstruction. Even though there is no concrete work, but every aspect of the road construction is going to be done. You remove the entire structure that is presently on the ground and replace it with the new one. So that is why the cost increased to about 780 something billion naira. It's a distance of about 400 kilometers from here to Kano, and we're hoping that the reconstruction will be completed before the end of this administration, because we believe very strongly that this is one of the major legacy projects this administration will leave to the people of the North Central, Northwest, and Northeast, and even some parts of Southeast, because anybody coming from Kano to the Southeast, there is no road he will follow other than this one. If you are going to the Southwest, you equally use this one. So it is a major arterial road that is very important to the country. It accelerates a lot of economic, development. You see a number of trucks plying that road. Some of them carrying cement, some of them carrying raw materials from Lagos port to different parts of Nigeria, either to Sokoto, to Maiduguri, to Kaduna, to Kano, to Bauchi. This is a major road link, so it is so important, and that's why this government considered it to be a priority project. And we're happy that the contract has been reviewed, the cost has been augmented, and the contractor has moved to the side. And what even made the cost increase, there's going to be trailer parks that will be constructed. There's also going to be toll plazas. There will be pedestrian crossing, particularly in major cities like Kaduna, Zaria, and also other major towns where this road will cross. So there are also other ancillary projects that are related to this road, and that's why the cost escalated to this much. And we in the Senate and also in the House of Representatives will do our oversight responsibility to ensure that Nigeria get quality work, we get value for money on this project. People don't know why the cost is so high, and it is justifiable in the sense that there will be toll plazas, there will be trailer park, there will be pedestrian crossing, bridges that would be constructed for pedestrians to be crossing in order to reduce the number of road accidents killing people along the expressway. Yeah, and in addition to that, I must add that other legacy projects of Buhari administration are the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, which is almost 60 to 70% completion stage, is awarded to the same company, Julius Berger. We also have the second Niger Bridge. As of last year, we went for oversight. They had done more than 50%. I'm sure by now they must have done close to about 75% completion stage. So these three projects are funded from the National or Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, and also the recovered funds from overseas. The government where this looted money was kept gave condition that they will release the money only if this money can be committed to provision of infrastructure. The $300 million that was recovered were put into these three projects: the second Niger Bridge, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and also the Abuja-Kaduna-Zaria Expressway.
That concludes the program for this week. Thanks for watching. Till next week, I am Dennis at Digunloy. Bye for now.